first bit of this to you, and then I'll elaborate on it and you'll see why I've read it out to you. Because it's quite poignant the way that it's being worded. So creativity is just connecting things. Creativity is just connecting things. Having watched Ollie's performance just then, I would want to disagree with that and say it's not just connecting things, it's spontaneity and it's originality and it's bringing something unique that no one else could bring. Having said that, recently I've been doing some research into neuroscience. It's one of the subjects that relates to the brand of linguistics that I'm interested in. And I can see where that idea comes from, the idea of creativity is just connecting things. Because actually, who we are in terms of our uniqueness has everything to do with the structure of our brains. Our brains are a mass of brain cells known as neurons, and we're born with around 100 billion brain cells, each of us. The number doesn't vary much at all. Same amount of brain cells. You wouldn't believe it from the presentation, but yeah. Lungs, your breath, you name it, we're all born with the same, roundabout, approximately 100 million brain cells. Now, we all know that as we grow, as we develop, our brains enlarge, and it used
my
to
brain's getting bigger.
Well, it will have, and let me explain why. Although the number of brain cells doesn't change much, what does change is the white matter between the cells, and the reason that grows, and the reason why we get more of that and our brains get larger and they get heavier, is because as we learn new things, as we're developing, we begin to connect the neurons in our brains. So when we're in the womb, when they're originally forming, separate cells. As we begin to absorb sensory information and we process it, we make sense of it, we store it, and this starts happening while we're in the womb, by the way. If anyone asks you a question when you start learning, it's not the day you start school, it's from in the womb. We begin to make sense of things, of sounds and of stimulus from that earliest point in our development. And as they connect, there's a process called myelination. So myelination is a neurotransmitter called myelin, as you can see, that will connect to the myelination process. That is delivered out, it's secreted, that's the word I'm looking for, secreted. And what that allows is the brain cells to have a connection where this happened, that's how I felt, that's what I saw, this is what I thought. Every memory, every aspect of that experience is stored in different places across the brain. I'll give you an example of how much of the brain can be connected and how creativity is really a unique exploration of connecting different pieces of information in a way that only we can. Only we can come up with a certain type of idea. No one else can do it, and that's because they haven't got exactly the same stores of information in their brains. They haven't had exactly the same experiences. They haven't felt exactly the same way as we have at exactly the same time for exactly the same reason. So there's no way that any one person, or any two people rather, can come up with exactly the same idea. And the reason for that is due to this process as I've just described it. So one cell absorbs some information, it secretes the neurotransmitter, it transmits it to another cell that stores some information, and one word, the word apple, I will give you. We did a study where the brain activity of a participant was, we used sensors to map them, and what we found is that one word, the word apple, lit up 5 million brain cells across 22 different areas of the brain. That's how many different connections they had. One word. So you imagine being given a scenario such as this and being asked to create some sort of talk, some sort of performance, some sort of sales pitch, might be